everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the third studio album by the Canadian singer-songwriter that has both folk and pop-leaning tendencies, Shawn Mendes. This new album is self-titled. This follows up both Illuminate and Handwritten, two albums that I didn't find to be all that horrible by any stretch of the phrase, but also didn't find them to be that memorable. In fact, I've pretty much forgotten both of those albums at this point. Even revisiting songs from them isn't always the best experience for me, and while I do think Mendes has talent and is probably one of the least cringy things to come in terms of musical success stories from Vine, that doesn't mean that I think he's anything all that spectacular either. In fact, I think he often draws way too much influence from his other musical peers, and on this record once again, I'm hearing comparisons to John Mayer and Justin Timberlake, but the difference this time around is that the songwriting feels a little bit more sharp. The acoustic guitar is a little bit more clear in places with exactly what they want to do, and his overall message becomes a little bit more direct to the music listener. And I have to applaud that, because even though this record isn't amazing, it's definitely a step up for Mendes. The self-titled album features 14 songs, and across the board we have a wide variety of co-writers and also producers. On the writing and producing side of things, we primarily have Teddy Geiger, somebody who was huge in the 2000s, at least for a brief little blip in time, and I found his solo stuff to be kind of cringy, but he's found himself a good job writing a lot of pop songs, and I can't fault him for that. I think Martin Johnson of Boys Like Girls has done similar things, and other washed-up artists who have resorted to that. And then on the other side of the fence, we have Julia Michaels, somebody who is, for whatever reason, in high demand to write songs in the 21st century. I don't like her style, I think she kinda sucks overall, and her voice, especially on this track Like to Be You, just shows off that kind of raspy style that I can't get behind. I don't think she's very good at all. So there's a big list of credits, and you're gonna see even bigger names like the lead singer of Snow Patrol and even Ed Sheeran getting co-writing credits. And then you've got Joel Little producing, at least co-producing with Geiger on the track Queen, so I found it to be kind of like interesting. I saw the track listing and I'm like, what does Shawn Mendes have up his sleeve here? Credit where credit is due, despite this album being a little bit derivative of other artists in places, I do feel like this is Shawn Mendes' strongest album to date. There's solid tracks, and throughout the 14, I would say at least a good half of them have their merits and have reasons for you to continue coming back to them, and that's not something that I could say about his past releases. I actually thoroughly enjoy his lead single, In My Blood, which was released alongside Lost in Japan, both of those being great, just on different sides of the spectrum. In My Blood has a very warm chorus on it, and I love that almost chugging guitar that goes in the background. That's not something that a lot of pop artists are doing these days, and I love to hear it flare up, and his vocals actually feel much stronger than they really ever have at this point in his career. And on Lost in Japan, I love the subtle opening of the piano and how it kind of just makes you feel a little bit like you're swooning into it, and then it actually kicks in with a little bit of a different style than what I initially expected. As the track goes on, you can see that Mendes is trying to woo this girl. He's out touring, probably, perhaps, and he's near Japan, and he's like, let's just cross paths for one night. However, I do have to say with Lost in Japan, is it just me, or does this feel like a lost step-sibling of something off of Man of the Woods by Justin Timberlake, especially in the way those falsetto vocals kick in? I mean, it's almost uncanny how fitting it is for a record like that, and that's what I'm talking about when I feel like Mendes definitely gets inspirations from other people. We'll get to more of the solid moments that show off Mendes' strengths, but we also have some very questionable ones and some ones that just get downright kinda not so good at all. And the first of those is one that I've already kind of alluded to my opinion on, and that's the track that features Julia Michaels. That one is called Like to Be You, and I just can't get into this whatsoever or see the appeal. It's so basic and kind of cheesy in what it has to offer. And the lyrics, the way they're set up, it just feels almost like a forced conversation as they go back and forth. And as I said before, Michaels' voice, oh boy, that needs some work. Particular Taste tries to go out on a limb and try maybe perhaps a little bit of a almost hip-hop leaning thing where he talks really fast, and it kind of reminds me of that song Bad Liar by Selena Gomez in terms of the vocal delivery and the way that he's almost just kind of talking, but there's like breathiness to it. It's like, hey, this is my review of the Shawn Mendes album. I just don't really get into the vibe of it. I mean, it's kind of catchy, the snaps, the claps, everything like that, the deep bass, but I just don't think it suits him all that well, and there are other moments that do it better in terms of experimentation for Mendes. The album also closes out on some rather cheesy one-noters that don't really do all that much. It's just kind of a flat line for me. When You're Ready is the actual closer, and I would say that it is a step above the one that comes before that, Perfectly Wrong, where he talks about how they're perfectly wrong for each other, which just feels so dime a dozen and cookie cutter safe. It's just the cut on there that was made to be like the piano ballad, to feel soft, tug at the heartstrings, so to speak. And then you go into When You're Ready, which is better, but once again, it just feels like it could have been written in a stronger fashion. Maybe it's the instrumental, the guitar, the bass, the drumming that's all missing and not making this line up. It just feels like a few puzzle pieces are missing. Fortunately, we do have a decent handful of other songs that make things a lot better and more enjoyable. For example, the track Queen. This one is a lot of fun as we see Mendes kind of poking holes in this girl that's maybe messing with him a little bit or else acting like she's on top of the world, or hence the queen. And this one, instrumentally, I think that Joel Little brought some interesting things to the production side of the table, and vocally we see Mendes going out in a little bit of a different direction here, and I'm more than okay with him taking more risks like this if it's going to continue paying off for tracks like Queen. Then we have something like Why, which is more vulnerable, and I like that it kind of opens and closes like it's being played on vinyl. You can hear some light scratches. For whatever reason, I feel kind of good listening to this. I feel like maybe I should feel sad, but that's just what I'm picking up on. Fallin' All in You is the one that has the all-star cast of co-writers: Johnny McDade, Ed Sheeran, Teddy Geiger, Mendes himself. It's the A-Team, and they definitely brought it for this track. I think this one is one of the more enjoyable ones overall. It has a very solid chorus that is hook-centric, sure, but it also doesn't forget about the verses of the track and doesn't underwrite there as many pop songs do, and they're just like rushing to get to that chorus to leave an impression on you. I feel like this one is kind of pretty well developed overall. It's not like one of the best pop songs of the year or anything, but still, from Mendes, this is definitely better. Nervous makes great use of some drumming, some bass and guitar, and gets a little bit playful as Mendes kind of details the fact that he's getting a little bit nervous around this girl and this new relationship and trying to be cool perhaps, and it's just a different vibe for him. And as we opened up on In My Blood, which was guitar central once again in terms of the way that it approached its instrumental and songwriting, I feel like they wrote from the guitar again on Nervous, and I'm more than okay with this approach to songwriting. It seems like something that I could totally get on board with, especially as he continues to mature and get older. If you're looking for more fun on this record, I would suggest digging into Mutual. This one is a great groove. I love the jam and the tone on the guitars and the way that Mendes approaches his vocal performance here. He hits some high notes, he hits some lower registers as well, and it honestly is one of the best experiences you will have while listening to the self-titled album. That and the cut that comes right before that with Khalid. On this song Youth, I think Khalid and Mendes do a great job of kind of rotating back and forth with their styles and their approaches, and it feels honest and it feels vulnerable, and it's refreshing to just have this poured over us, and it's like a cleansing in a way, and it's a nice break, I suppose, from all the relationship type songs, as he actually feels like he's protesting here. You won't take my youth away. Shawn Mendes might not be the best thing on the market when it comes to pop or even acoustic or folk leaning pop, but still, this effort shows things going in the right direction, even if it's not amazing still. There are moments that definitely draw way too much influence in places, even if I might still enjoy them. For example, I do like Lost in Japan, even though it reminds me of JT. And then we have JB influences on Because I Had You, which honestly, I do not like. It feels just like Love Yourself, and I'm surprised that Ed Sheeran doesn't have a co-writing credit here as well, with those muted guitar chords and even the way that the vocals are styled. I could almost start singing, "My mama don't like you and she likes everyone." That's my opinion on the self-titled. Overall, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. I had to downgrade his last albums to both like a 2.5 because I just don't come back to them at all. I think I might have rated one of them a 3 out of 5 initially, but at this point I had to downgrade. I do feel like this is a step up, so that's why I'm giving this the 3. Both him and Charlie Puth are two pop artists that I feel like are showing a lot of potential, but they haven't quite gotten there yet. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Please drop a like on the video while you're here, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see weekly reviews and top 10s, ranked episodes where I do ranked episodes for like discographies of bands and artists and worst to best, everything like that. So make sure you turn notifications on as well. My Patreon is linked down below if you would like to support me and help what I do on both of my channels. It's the top link down below, or else the annotation in the corner of your screen. If you want to see another Shawn Mendes review, tap right over here, or another recent pop review right over here. All of my social media accounts can be found linked in the description, and I'll see you soon on ARTV.